Hi, I'm Susie, firehouse.com, and with me today are
Mike Robertson, President of the Military Firefighter Heritage Foundation.
I'm Ron Sarnicki. I'm the Executive Director of the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation.
Ron. I understand for the first time ever next month or in October, we're going to be honoring military firefighters. Can you tell me how that came about?
Absolutely, Susie. In 1997, the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation convened a meeting of the fire service leadership, and the criteria for firefighters to be placed on the wall in Emmitsburg was developed. And during that time, there was a lot of discussion about who needed to be on the wall, but unfortunately there wasn't discussion about active duty military firefighters. And in this day and age, there's a lot of crews that respond off of military facilities that have both contractor and active duty military riding the same rig. And what we realized a couple of years ago is that if one of those rigs were involved in an incident or those crews were in fact killed in the line of duty, only those that were civilian contractors would be honored in Emmitsburg. And of course, we've been pushing for a while that Emmitsburg is the national memorial, and a firefighter is a firefighter no matter how they get to us. So the foundation reached out to the Military Fallen Firefighter Heritage Foundation and said, you know, how many firefighters are there? We're trying to get some information, and that's how I met Mike. And 4 years ago, we started this discussion about how do we get the active duty military firefighters onto the wall in Emmitsburg. And so that's kind of how it started.
Can you tell me, Mike, what some of the criteria, and are these firefighters that whose primary duty is fighting fires?
Yep, all the military firefighters, their primary duty is being a firefighter. Some of the services have secondary career fields that they have to do during wartime, but the 12 guys that we're putting in this year are firefighters, just like the guys in Chicago, Washington, New York. Go through all the same training.
Okay, and they actually had to be killed while fighting in the active fighting fire?
Right. Active firefighting operation or vehicle accident was most of the deaths we incurred since 1982. Rescue, yes, ma'am.
So how did the board come up, or I guess it was just an oversight in the beginning?
It just wasn't ever considered. And I think there's a couple of things. First of all, unfortunately, military firefighters are not qualified for the public safety officer benefit. So, of course, that's always been part of our criteria. So that could have been part of that oversight. Secondly is that there wasn't a lot of discussion, I think, about the military activities. And, of course, since we've been engaged in more military operations, I think brought a lot of that to light. And I think we started to get calls about also members of the American Fire Service who were serving as military who were killed in combat, and how that would fit into all this. So it all started those discussions. But the bottom line is, as a result of a presentation made to the National Fallen Firefighter Foundation Board a year ago by the chiefs of each of the branches of the military at our annual board meeting, an ad hoc committee was put together by our chairman, Denny Compton, to explore the feasibility of adding the military. That committee came back in January at that board meeting, January of this year, and the recommendation was to move forward because it was the right thing to do. The impact was approximately 15 firefighters who will be added back to 1981. And of course, that was when the memorial was built, and that's the criteria time frame we use. And so the basic impact on the foundation would be minimal, but we're gonna cover their costs anyway. We're gonna make that all happen. And so the board voted on that in January. The first thing I did was called Mike and said, our 4-year mission has been successful. And then we all gathered at FDIC and made the announcement during my acceptance speech for the Lifetime Achievement Award, which was really nice to add that to the end of that opportunity. And we have been rolling ever since.
So tell me, when the families come to Emmitsburg, they'll receive the same type of services, counseling, or anything that the other families there be included, right?
Absolutely. We intend to give them everything that any other family gets who comes to Emmitsburg when their loved one's name is being added to the wall. We are going to cover their transportation, their lodging, their meals for the weekend, just like every other family. We are going to provide our services to them so long as they need it for helping them to rebuild their lives. And I know we're going to work with Mike and his foundation to continue to service those families for as long as they need it.
And tell me about the escorts. I understand there may be a military escort with their branch of service.
What we're going to do is, well, let me clarify. With every family that comes to Emmitsburg, there is a fire escort assigned to them. And that's to help them navigate the National Fire Academy campus, the Emmitsburg layout, all those things. And what we're going to do this year is we've asked the military to provide a uniformed military escort to accompany the fire escort and that family, so that that family has a little bit of the military tradition of what should be done to pay respects for their lost loved one as well. So we're hoping to have that all worked out. That's kind of why we're meeting with the DOD section here at the FRI to kind of get some of those issues worked out. The other thing that we are going to have is a military representative reading names, because you know we use different individuals to read the names each year, and a military representative to be one of the 10 flag presenters, so that there will be a military representation to show our support and, to be honest, to bring right the oversight that occurred.
And what branches of the service for the victims, the fallen firefighters, we're going to honor?
Let's see, 9 Air Force and 3 Marines are going in this year. Plus, there's 3 DoD civilians that have been overlooked over the last 12 years or 14 years or so. So we got 9 Air Force, 3 Marines, active duty, and then 3 civilians.
And you also have a DOD memorial?
Yes, ma'am. We got the DoD firefighter memorial, fallen firefighter memorial down at Goodfellow Air Force Base, where the DoD Fire Academy is, and that's where we met Ron. We dedicated that in 2006. And so, what better person to come down and help us dedicate that with the executive director of the National? And then he spoke at our firefighters' ball the next night, and I had him to myself for a day and a half, so we got to talk and got this thing started. So it worked out very well.
It's been a great partnership, and both foundations and Mike and I both think it's the right thing to do, so it made it kind of easy to just keep pushing at it.
So maybe PSOB will be the next step, or is it too soon to say, to kind of?
Well, that's an issue that needs to be addressed, because the military fallen firefighters are not eligible. So, you know, there's always ways to keep pushing for our primary objective, is to do what's best for the families of the fallen. And so if we keep that in the forefront, that's where we need to stay.
Okay, gentlemen, thanks a lot for your time today.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Rudy.
it.
Appreciate it.